Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Creative Empowerment Show. I am Rachel Chase. This is my show. I'm the show creator, and I'm so grateful to be here on the Transformation Talk Radio Network and KKNW in Seattle, Washington. So here we are. Join me for this hour of inspiration, guidance, support, and creative empowerment. So we're going to talk about a little bit more about creative empowerment. Today's show is titled Seeing with the Eyes of Spirit. So some of you may be watching me on Facebook Live right now on my page. This show is recorded live every month on the fourth Wednesday of the month at 2 p.m. Eastern and 11 a.m. Pacific time. And many of you listening live probably have had some interaction and connection with me already, but some of you may be listening to this as a recording sometime in the future. And just know that although this show is being recorded on October 28th, 2020, the content and information is timeless, classic, and always relevant. So today, we'll talk more about how the integrative healing process can help you align with your higher self and orient your inner vision with what we call third eye is perceiving. We will do a profound visualization today for co-creating beauty in the world with cosmic awareness. Now, I want to preface some of this information with the question, why? Here we are on what is called the Transformation Talk Radio Network. And so those of us that are in alignment with this idea of transformation, I know if you're listening or watching right now, you are likely interested in your own personal transformation or possibly even social transformation in the world. And so what is transformation? Transformation simply means to change. And, here we are in 2020, the year of anything goes, apparently, right? So much is transpiring, and it's the great unknown. So I'll share a little bit with you about my own personal journey here the last few weeks, just to bring it into perspective, and maybe because you might be able to relate with a little bit of what I've been going through, because maybe you're kind of going through it too, which is a lot of listening to the moment, because what we thought was going to be the case, we wake up one day and find out it isn't that way. So maybe you've made some plans for your life for this year, and because of COVID or maybe some other situations that have arisen in your life, you've had to adjust your plans, change your thinking, shift your perspective, or maybe it's just really frustrated you and you're finding yourself in a situation where you're having to confront a lot of challenges. So let's just sit with that for a moment. I always like to take a moment, take a breath, and just sit with these things, because sometimes we can sort of get on a rant when we're talking about everything that we're dealing with in our lives, and we can get ahead of ourselves. So I don't want to get ahead of myself. I know we have 1 hour here today, and we could talk about so many things with this idea of the third eye, or seeing through the eyes of spirit. What does that mean? And we're going to talk about that, and I will share some stories, but I want to talk about change first, and then I'll link the two ideas together. If you're like me, you're someone who may be interested in astrology and interested in looking at the epochs of time and humanity and the waves of change and how they progressed. And you might look back over the centuries and see how at certain times during each century, there seems to be a theme going on with change. You know, we talk a lot about, now that COVID has happened, the Spanish flu, right? People look back and go, oh, well, this is what was happening during that time. This is how they handled it then. This is the way it affected humanity at that time. And now we're in this new age of the internet and how it's affecting us now. And but as a healer and as a mentor and as a guide, what I'm seeing is I'm seeing how this year is really playing out in my clients' lives and in my own life. So many of you may know that I have been living in Florida and teaching and getting my master's degree in counseling there, and guiding and leading many people through creative healing journeys and energy healing workshops and the like. And my husband and I have been passionately excited to move out to the Pacific Northwest for a long time. We both have this inner calling to live here. So now we find ourselves here in Washington. Our original plan, for those of you who've been listening, tuning in, or following, or know me personally, was to move to Oregon. And you may know that in Oregon, the fires, the wildfires and other fires that were man-made, were raging wildly last month and the month before. They're still working on putting those fires out. So we had plans to move to a specific place in Oregon, and at the last sort of minute, really about, I want to say a week and a half before we were planning on moving to Oregon from Orlando, Florida, these fires started becoming clear that these were unprecedented fires. And it just so happened that the location of these terrible fires were in the two places that we had our eye on going. We actually had a rental property set up in one of the locations that we ended up having to cancel because it would have been impossible for us to move there at that time. We would have gotten there in beginning of October. So there we were with all of our items packed, our hearts set on moving to the Northwest, specifically Oregon. And we're being faced with this reality, and we're seeing what's happening in people's lives and the loss that's taking place, and the unknown of what's going to happen. And so we had to think fast. And at first it was quite traumatizing. It brought up a lot of old trauma that was underlying both of us, my husband and I. We were both very triggered by this, kind of like the feeling the floor is being dropped out, or the other shoe has dropped, right? So I'm wondering, those of you listening, if you can think about those times in your life when, and maybe it's been going on for you this year, maybe it's happening in your life, in your family's life, when everything that has been built up that you thought it was going to be this way is suddenly gone, and you don't know what to do. So sitting with that for a moment, I think it's really important in terms of the process of mindfulness and the gift that mindfulness gives us in terms of being present with our lives and being available to the messages, being available to the insights, available to the wisdom of our own intuition, so that ingenuity can present itself. We need to have cultivated something underneath all of this humanity within ourselves that I refer to as the ground. And you can think of it as the Tao, the essence of everything. You can think of it as the spirit of God. You can think of it, and whatever way that you relate with this idea of an underlying presence or grounded neutrality. And I thank God. I thank myself. I thank my husband. I thank our past. I thank the practice of mindfulness, of breathing, of breath work, and of processing and facing our demons, for being able to not let those triggers completely overwhelm us and drop us down into total fear mode. Because we could have just said, okay, that's it. We can't go. We can't leave. Obviously, the universe is showing us that we just shouldn't move because it's just too many horrible things happening in the world. You know, we could have allowed that fear of, oh no, this could happen and this could happen, to overwhelm us. And it started to, just a little bit, but we caught ourselves. And I feel like this is the sort of story that can remind all of us that when we pause, when we take a beat and we notice that we're spinning out or we're having a trauma reaction to the situation, that we can see it for what it is, and let go of maybe a defensiveness that might be there. And that defensiveness sometimes, and as a yoga teacher, we talk a lot about positive, negative, and neutral mind, especially in the Kundalini yoga that I've been trained in. This idea that we have an aspect of our mind that is there to protect us. You know, it's there to look out for the dangers that might be present and assess the situation and make sure that we're safe. And now that aspect, we could call it the quote negative mind. Not that it's a bad aspect, it's just, we can maybe even think of it as the safety mind. But sometimes our ego, right, the part of ourselves that does not want change, that doesn't know how to deal with change, really, the ego that says, I need to stay right where I am because to grow and to change or to go outside of what I'm used to is scary. That part of ourselves that is a little more oriented with fear and doubt and worry and afraid that our power is going to be taken away from us, might start to run away with the negative mind. And this aspect of mind that we talk about in yoga as being the positive mind, or the more creative mind, or the aspect of our awareness that can take an idea and run with it, might latch on to that. And then we spin out. So there's some various metaphors that we can look at in terms of our chakras, third eye, third chakra in our gut. We can look at it from a yogic perspective. We can look at it from a mindfulness perspective. You know, all of these tools that many of us healers and counselors and mentors and guides and therapists and yogis have developed over the years, or shall I say, tuned in with over the years, can be aids in our process of gaining more of an understanding of ourselves, so that we can go deeper and maybe get more curious about what else is here within us, not just the ego level of things, but what is it that's this soul that we're talking about when we talk about live our soul purpose. What does it mean to connect with your soul's voice, the neutral mind, the dimension of perspective that can see things more clearly and see the big picture and come back to, oh no, here's the truth of the matter. Here's the truth of the situation. And that's really what this moment is about in our reality. And I want you to think about that, this idea of what is true for you. What is true? There's so much back and forth and divisiveness in our world right now. So many people claim to have the truth, right? No, I'm right. No, I'm right. You're wrong. we're wrong. He's, she, and we're spun out in America, especially, aren't we? The election coming up and everything. So now every moment is of the essence for us to cultivate this practice of seeing through the eyes of spirit that I'm talking about here today. So we have 2 more segments of the show left. We're going to take a little break here in a moment. Again, I'm Rachel Chase. This is the Creative Empowerment Show where we invoke radical love in our lives. And we'll be back in just a bit after the break to talk more about the soul's purpose, seeing through the eyes of spirit. And then in the 3rd segment, we'll do a powerful process and visualization to connect with that. So we'll be back in just a bit. Thank you so much. That's just a calming sound there at the end of that, isn't it? So welcome back, everyone. Again, I'm Rachel Chase. Welcome to the Creative Empowerment Show, Invoking Radical Love, here on the Transformation Talk Radio Network, as well as Facebook Live and KKNW in Seattle, Washington. So I think we had a little bit of a Zoom glitch on the first segment of the show. So for those of you who were listening and something you missed that you want to reach out to me and ask any questions, yes, you can find me at rachelchase.com, RACHELCHASE.com. And I do encourage you to go to my website and see what my offerings are for virtual energy healing sessions, for spiritual counseling, for mentoring for artists and healers and yogis. And also, I do have some events coming up. So if you'll go to rachelchase.com and go to my classes and events page, you'll see that I have an immersion for women in December happening that you can register for, read all about it. Online immersion, of course. And it's a healing journey that's called Spiritual Warrior Women's Immersion. So you can read all about that on my website. I've also got this week, let's see, this is Wednesday, right? So it was Wednesday, October 28th, and tomorrow night on the 29th at 5:30 Pacific, 8:30 Eastern, I'm also doing my monthly women's group, and it's just $11 to join that through my Patreon. So if you're not familiar with what Patreon is, it's a site for artists and people like me who facilitate monthly experiences to have a membership where people can pay a monthly fee and in return get things like live streams or many other different ways of exchange. So in my case, it's a women's group and it's a healing journey every month that we have where I guide you through meditations, energy healing, and we support each other. We actually will see each other in the group and share with each other and support each other. It's a beautiful experience. So if you're curious about that, go to my website. You can also email me with any questions. It's rachel@rachelchase.com. So today we're talking about truth. We're talking about this idea of seeing through the eyes of spirit and the soul purpose. And why is that relevant today in this world of chaos in a lot of ways? But, you know, if you really look and see, there is a lot of harmony going on as well. There is a movement that's taking place in our world that is calling for peace, is calling for compassion, is calling for love, is calling for the dropping of our weapons. And this is not a new movement. This has been, around for as long as humanity has been here. And, a lot of the information that is shared by people like me in the healing world and the spiritual community is gaining momentum in more of a mainstream awareness. And maybe if you look back a few decades ago, this idea of energy healing and Reiki and even talking about things like synchronicity were on the fringe, and now these concepts are much more mainstream, and I think people are really opening up and becoming more aware of the deeper realities of our existence. So what's called for at this time is a true individual and collective spiritual transformation. And so this idea of the third eye today. So we're in episode 6 of my show, the Creative Empowerment Show. And I've been using a theme of the chakras really to bring us through. I haven't expressed that per se very much on the shows, but if you go back through all the episodes, you'll start to understand that the metaphor is there. Episode 1 was grounding and creating a foundation, which is about the root chakra. Episode 2 brought in more of the creativity and the second chakra concepts about healing our relationships. And we talked a lot about forgiveness. Episode 3, I brought in more of that identifying with your courageous self, which is the third chakra. So take a moment to consider your third chakra. And really, this is just the energy of your gut. This is the belly area just below the rib cage. The energy there that connects you with your emotional, spiritual, physical, and mental bodies. And it also connects you with information outside of your system, in your energy field and beyond. So we communicate with each other in many ways, don't we? Not just verbally, not just body language, but also energetically, right? You can pick up on things. This is our energy system. This is our ability to tune in with what is true or not true for us, what is good for us, what is not good for us, and the way that situations make us feel. So your third chakra and your third eye chakra, or your sixth chakra, they are intrinsically connected. Okay, so from your third is your gut, then your fourth chakra is your heart. And on that episode, we talked all about love, right? Compassion. Your fifth chakra is your throat. And last episode, we talked about sound healing. And I brought in an awareness of how we can tune in with the deeper truths of life through sound, and how we can heal with sound, and how vibration connects us all. So now we're up here in the third eye today, and we're getting more of an understanding of this idea of a neutral mind. So in terms of balancing, connecting with, or opening this aspect of your being, your third eye, I want you to think of it physiologically first. So physiologically, we're talking about the space between the eyebrows and just above that, okay? And maybe you can just put your finger there and just kind of touch that spot delicately. Maybe close your eyes gently and just gently touch that spot. Maybe give it a little massage. Just see how your inner awareness is drawn upward toward that area in your body, and take a deep breath and then exhale. All right, so noticing that area there, it's kind of sensitive, isn't it? If you touch it, kind of has an extra sense. I mean, our face is sensitive. The skin on our face is sensitive, so it's not surprising that it would be sensitive. But if you really kind of bring your eyes up internally up toward that spot, you might, maybe not, feel a little bit of pressure there. So the idea in meditation, when we use breath work, eye focus, and intention, and focus, our mental awareness, where are we placing our attention, and how and why and what is our intention or quality of awareness. Intention is the quality of your awareness. So if my intention is to balance my emotions, if my intention is to connect more with an elevated awareness of life, if my intention is to send my breath energy up into that area and use my eye focus to gently place some pressure there, then I'm going to start to really connect with how this focus and this sort of gentle pressure of the eyes stimulates the brain. Now, the gland that's directly behind there in your brain is the pituitary gland. And the pituitary gland is responsible for, I like to think of it as the air traffic controller of our hormones, of the entire endocrine system, all of your glands. And it also, this gentle stimulation here in the brain, activates, frankly, the whole nervous system. Your pineal gland, which is just above and behind the pituitary, that is like an inner eye focused upward. In fact, they've done some dissections of the pineal gland and found that it is like a little eye. And that eye can become calcified sometimes. So when we keep our awareness and our intention aligned, and we do very simple meditations, or even just take a pause throughout the day from time to time to focus up at that third eye spot and breathe slow and deep. Imagine that your breath energy is going up into your brain. This promotes and supports the neutral mind, your ability to open. Now just imagine a hawk, a beautiful hawk flying through the air. And the hawk has this perspective of seeing everything very clearly, right? The hawk can perceive everything from that bird's eye view. I like to use that metaphor and that shamanic wisdom of the hawk to tune in with this idea of seeing through the eyes of spirit. Now you can also flip it and think of it as spirit, the great spirit, the essence of life, or God, is seeing through your eyes. That this is how spirit is able to be activated, be expressed in the world, is through our openness to allow that to operate in our lives, that energy, the Tao, the essence of spirit, the essence of life, the ground. So when we allow that energy to come forth, we are strengthening our connection with that which is always here for us to be supported by, so that we're not feeling so stranded and lost when our ego gets triggered and out of control. And that brings me back to that story in the beginning that, my husband and I were quite triggered when we found out that we weren't going to be able to go where we thought we were going. And we had researched this place for months and we had our hearts set on it. And, we didn't let that rug pulled out from us feeling completely sideswipe us from what we knew in our truth, in our gut, because really intuition is about the gut. It's about the gut. And we have been practicing meditation and growth and therapy. And, we have both been interested and committed to growing as soul beings, still human in all of our humanity, just being ourselves, appreciating our humanness, but also because I believe we have been really working on ourselves, quote unquote. This idea of working on ourselves is an interesting phrase, isn't it? But we've been interested in what else is here beneath the surface of the superficial reality of life. And we've been cultivating that ground through simple breathing exercises, meditation, yoga, not militantly, but just on a regular basis, consistently, and learning about ourselves more deeply and open to what others' perceptions are. I believe that creates a more fluidity of being, so that when we're in those moments we're more able to take care of ourselves and reconnect with the ground, the neutral perspective, and able to see through the eyes of spirit. So this is what I mean when I say seeing through the eyes of spirit. And that's a kind of spiritual way to look at it, but you can also look at it as in a pragmatic way. Let's say you're an atheist. You're just interested in hormone balancing and regulating your emotions, and you can talk about it from that perspective too. And what a benefit that is to our moral compass in the world, right? To being aligned with compassion and caring for others and caring for ourselves. So when we're spun out and we get lost in the quagmire of right and wrong, my truth is the truth and your truth can't possibly be the truth, then we are blinded to the deeper underlying solutions that are here for bridge building, for peace making, for understanding, right? So if we're talking about finding a way forward in our world, we, I believe, need to let go of this righteousness and move into the radical love that is called for at this time. And it starts with each of us doing that for ourselves. So I'm holding space for that in you and in myself. And I'm seeing it play out in a lot of my clients' lives lately, where they're coming to some really powerful realizations of the things that have been in the way of their ability to forgive family members, to be able to be present with their work. Those things that are in the way are the inner struggles, right? Those things that we're just not willing to give up, that we hold on to so tightly because they define our identity. And so these inner righteousnesses, I, for lack of a better word, I'm right, you're wrong, can really keep us trapped, right? And so if we're willing to just ease up on that a little bit, bring in some breath and bring some awareness and openness to that third eye, we might be able to heal the past, shed those layers of heaviness that keep us trapped, and move forward, right? Wouldn't that be great to just feel free of those things? So just sitting with that for a moment and some contemplation time. We're going to have a little break here again. You're listening to the Creative Empowerment Show, Invoking Radical Love, and we will see. And welcome back, everyone. Hello, I'm Rachel Chase. This is my show, the Creative Empowerment Show, Invoking Radical Love. And that's what I'm all about personally as well as professionally. My life has been a series of awakenings and journeys of transformation since I was a very young girl. And today I get to share more of this energy with you, this transformational energy, this awakening energy, this remembering of who we are as beings that are infinite, as souls, to bring us into the present and remember who we are is so important, especially when we're wrestling with so much unrest, uncertainty in our world. Of course, we're always dealing with uncertainty and change, right? And we're always going through some kind of change personally, not just out in the world, but internally too, right? So we use the metaphor of the caterpillar turning into the butterfly, thinking about that time in the chrysalis when the caterpillar, the body of the caterpillar literally breaks down physiologically and turns into a liquid. And through the magic of the imaginal cells, they're called imaginal cells, the butterfly imagines itself into being, breaks out of the chrysalis, and flies. Now, this may seem either on one hand a very mundane act that just happens every day. On the other hand, you can look at it as some kind of underlying energy that is in all of life that supports magic, this mysterious energy that activates this ability to reorganize and become something new. Now, as a human, this requires a level of desire. Do you desire to create happiness? Do you desire to open up to the infinite possibilities of life? It can be difficult when we have been trained, when we have been imprinted, when we have been taught that there are these societal rules in place that say this is the way it works. These rules and regulations, you must follow them in order to be a good citizen, in order to be, be successful in life, and that these are the rules, right? Well, we're waking up to the fact that maybe those rules aren't necessarily the full story. So this meditation that we're going to do today is about supporting the infinite possibilities that you can dream up and what those might be. And this is a little process that sometimes I do in my sessions with clients. Again, you can book a session with me or a free intention consultation session through my website, rachelchase.com. You can also find out more about my events that I do online, monthly women's circles, energy healing, Reiki training. I also have a course that I'm working on that takes you through the chakras as a journey. And you can learn more about that too. If you sign up for my newsletter, I'll be sending out information about that as well. But the meditation today that we're doing is really to tune in with the third eye, of course, and support your ability to stay open to whatever is possible. That knowingness that maybe what I'm perceiving here with my 3D mind isn't the full story. How can I elevate myself to the 5D mind that lives in the realm of infinite possibility, that lives in the realm of awareness that we are energy, that our consciousness is powerful, and that our intention, and where we place our intention, activates the ingenuity required to have that new creation happen in our lives, to be able to shed those layers and to welcome what's already happening. And this is what invocation is all about. So I'm about to do an invocation. An invocation is to not necessarily bring something into presence, but to acknowledge what is already present. So we're going to acknowledge what is already present, which is your ability to connect with neutral mind and stay in the elevated consciousness of infinite possibility. Okay? So if you're driving, of course, don't do this. Come back to the recording on Spotify or Apple Podcast, iTunes. I'm messing that all up because I know that this podcast is all over the place. Or just go back to Transformation Talk Radio or my website, and you can listen to this meditation again. So I'm going to close my eyes because that helps me tune in with the internal awareness, that 5D consciousness of spirit. And I'm going to invite you to do the same and take a deep breath in through your nose and hold the breath in for just a moment. And draw in your belly just a little bit to feel that your body is elevating a little bit, and then blow out the mouth slowly, allowing your shoulders to relax a little. A lot of the wisdom coming through for you right now has to do with allowing yourself to rest as often as possible in order to let your mind go into this zone, into this space of the third eye. So have your eyes gently closed and let them go up as if you're gazing upward toward the forehead in the center there. And breathe in and breathe out slowly. Relax your hands. Feel the breath fully come in and slowly go out. Breathing in and out slowly. And with every breath, keep your focus up there at that third eye area. And imagine that the breath energy itself carries the wisdom of that inner ground, the wisdom of the Tao, the wisdom of spirit, the wisdom of the hawk. It carries that energy into your body, into your nervous system, in your brain, and your pituitary gland, and your pineal gland. Listen to the sound of your breath going in and out. And imagine that your whole entire head area is expanding. That your inner energy of your gut and your heart are aligning with your root in the earth. And that your physiological body is becoming more energetic in nature. That you're tuning in more with the feeling that your whole body is more spacious and open than it usually feels. Keep breathing. And start to notice how sometimes your focus gets very narrow. And right now, I want your focus to become wide. Up here in the mountains, I want you to imagine the mountains and the sky as if you can look all around and imagine the vast mountains to the left and to the right, and even behind you, all around you. And that your whole being just opens up to receive a powerful activation right now from the heart of the divine, from Mother Nature, and from the essence of all of life that bubbles up and bubbles in and begins to pop in a way, like little bubbles popping all through your forehead area, bringing this blue, deep blue light into your brain, into that third eye area, and swirling around and clearing out whatever is in the way. Any inner demons, if you will, or enemies of the spirit, enemies of your own higher self activation, meaning those doubts, those fears, those heavier energies. And we're just going to send some lots of love into all those heavier emotions. Imagining yourself whenever you feel those emotions, just surrounding yourself in this beautiful light, maybe some pink energy of love all through your heart space. That those emotions are perfectly okay, that we're sending love to them, but that they're gently becoming transformed and cleared so that you can lighten up, so that your neutral mind can be activated. And you can feel more of a lightness up above in your head area and a soothingness to your nervous system. Just take a couple more breaths here, receiving energy from your own spiritual guides, ancestors, the elemental beings of the trees. Just feeling that there's energy coming in from the heart of love into your whole being, helping you stay more expanded, or at least be able to come back and realign with this energy. Every moment is an opportunity to realign and reassess and come back to this level of attention and awareness. Every moment this year is asking us to define and reassign meaning to our lives. What was once true is not. What is said as yes may be a no, and what is no may be a yes. So when we feel those confusing emotions, remember that you can return back to this awareness through your breath, through your intention, through your focus, through your awareness and remembrance of this energy, this level of consciousness, this identifying with you as an infinite being. And keep breathing, feeling your belly move now. Really feel the whole body, almost like a wave, breathing up and down. This is going to help align your whole energy system right now, so that your gut intuition and the eyes of spirit are more aligned. And you feel that alignment more easily. That is my intention for all of us, that we can reorient ourselves to this alignment and bring that inner third eye sight back online more easily in the presence of silence, in the presence of peace, letting it radiate through your relationships, letting it radiate through your words and into the world. So take a breath, open your eyes, and just know that I'm holding space for all of you today and always. Feel free, and please do reach out. I love to connect and answer any questions you have. We'll be here at the same time, the fourth Wednesday of the month, next month as well, in November, with the Creative Empowerment Show. We'll be doing a Facebook Live as well. And you can always also look up my YouTube channel, Rachel Chase Creative Empowerment, where I have all kinds of videos to support you, yoga and meditation. So go check out my YouTube channel. I'll be adding some more there as well. I wish you all the best. Have a beautiful and wonderful day. And I will see you next month, fourth Wednesday of the month, 11 a.m. Pacific and 2 p.m. Eastern on the Transformation Talk Radio Network. Peace and blessings, everyone. Ciao for now.